Why, hello. Are you all right? You poor, poor thing. Please, take a seat and get comfortable. You can sit right here by the fire. Perhaps I can get you something? Some warm tea? You do look like you could use some warm tea. Why, my dear, you look absolutely chilled to the bone. Well, it's so cold out tonight. What a terrible, stormy, windy, thunderous night. My dear, what were you doing out in the woods all by yourself? You know it's very dangerous out there. Well, I should know. Please settle in. We'll get you some tea very shortly. I'm sure Mrs. Potts would be happy to heat you up some nice, warm, and soothing tea. Oh, you poor, poor thing. I should introduce myself. My name is Belle, and I live here in this castle that you've stumbled upon tonight. What's your name? Oh, that's a very, very lovely name. I'm sure you'll fit in here just fine. I'm getting ahead of myself. Please, are you starting to warm up a little bit? I was so surprised to find you here in the woods right outside the castle. Like I said, it's very dangerous at night. I've had my experience with running through these woods. That's how I came across this castle in the first place. Well, my father did first, and then I had to come and rescue him, and, well, it's a very long story. It probably would take about 2 hours to tell it, so I don't need to go so much into my personal life and backstory, I'm sure. But just be rest assured that you are in good, kind, and caring hands now. Oh yes, I have a wonderful staff that works here in this castle. Where are they? Well, it is rather late at night that you've stumbled here, so some of them are sleeping. Some are just very quiet in general. But I assure you, I certainly do have servants and staff here. They're just very, very quiet. Some might say humans couldn't understand them at all. Well, it depends. You see this castle you've come upon. It's a very magical, special place. That's probably what led you here, away from all the frightening, dark, scary things out in the woods. By any chance, did you come across any wolves? There's quite a lot of wolves out there. No? Oh, I'm very happy to hear that. You didn't happen to come across any beasts, did you? No, well, lucky you. I shouldn't really say beasts plural, it's really just one beast, but I'll get to that in good time. First, I want to make sure that you are okay, warm and safe and comfortable. Yes, it does look like your cloak is drying off. Here, let me take it off for you. We'll just put that aside. It looks like it got a little torn and muddy, but we can mend that for you. In fact, I think we can do something very, very special with you. Well, like I said, my name's Belle, and I've lived in this castle for over a year now, and I'm very happy here. At first I wasn't so sure, I had my growing pains. But for starters, look at this beautiful library. All these books, isn't it just fantastic? I absolutely love this library. I could spend hours and hours just reading all the books, lounging in that wonderful chair that you're in right now. I just put some logs on the fire and let the flames build and crackle, and it's just so warm and soothing and relaxing. Looks like you're already dozing off just listening to me, but I'm going to have to beg your attention for a little longer. So like I said, I've been here for quite a few years, or rather a full year and a little longer than that. But I'm happy to spend my entire life here. I'm sure you'll feel the same. Everyone's a little unsure sometimes, but over time, they get used to things. That's how I look at life. One can get used to anything and can adjust to anything. But like I was saying earlier, I think you would fit in quite nicely. In fact, I'd like to learn a little more about you. Yes, you've already told me your name and, oh, you're coming from that village. Yes, I've heard of that village. Well, there's a lot of small little towns and villages around here, and we have people like yourself stumble upon the castle now and then. Poor souls, so lost and afraid. But I'm sure to take care of them, of course. I'm very hospitable. So, what I'd like to do is just take some measurements, if that's all right with you. Oh yes, it'll be very quick, I promise. Why don't I start with your lovely face? Do you mind? Let's see. Just want to see how wide your face is. Very good. And how long it is. You have a very elegant face. I'm going to look for your neck now. Just go from your chin down to the hollow of your throat. Wonderful. And now I'm just going to measure from shoulder to shoulder. You have very lovely shoulders. Wonderful. Oh, what am I doing? No, I'm not exactly taking your measurements for a new cloak, although I'm happy to mend that for you, to launder it, clean the mud, and sew up the little tears. But to be honest, I don't think you'll be needing that cloak anymore. Am I being a little bit mysterious? I don't mean to be. I think sometimes I spend a little too much time here in this library, reading all the books, and I get carried away, and, well, it's not always so easy for me to communicate or get my point across sometimes. Of course, I would like to say I'm fairly intelligent. I don't mean that. I think I just sometimes spend a little too much time in solitude. Oh, of course I talk to the servants. Oh, and you did hear that I'm engaged. Well, yes, my fiancé. I'll tell you about him in a little bit. I do talk to him a little bit, but I wouldn't say we have long, in-depth conversations. Why don't I just measure a little bit more, and then I'll tell you why I'm measuring you. Can you hold out your arms? Yes, just like this. Perfect. Very elegant arms as well. Oh, there's no need to worry, darling. Like I said, you're safe here. I'm sorry if you feel a little uncomfortable about this measuring business, but it's very important, you see. Well, like I said, my name is Belle, and I used to live in a small village with my father. We were quite happy. He was a clockmaker, and inventor of sorts. Well, he ventured off one day and got lost and held prisoner. Well, I, of course, came to rescue him. I can be pretty brave when I want to. I'm just going to measure your torso, darling, okay? Perfect, very good. So, like I was saying, I came to rescue him. I came across this castle, and I found some wild things. I know this sounds a little out there, and there's those in my village who wanted to commit me to a place, a hospital for the mentally ill. But I promise you, everything I'm telling you is true. Well, there was a beast who was under a curse. The whole castle was under a curse by a sorceress. No, not an evil sorceress. I think she's a bit misunderstood. Well, you see, basically, all of the staff, the servants, they all were turned into objects. Objects that could speak. I know, it sounds absolutely wild. I didn't believe it at first until I saw it with my own eyes, and all of a sudden, there was a clock talking to me, a feather duster just sashaying by. And then I met the beast. I was very afraid at first, but he's actually very gentle and kind. And they all turned to me as their only hope to break the curse. There was this rose, you see, an enchanted rose. Oh, on the shelf? No, well, this is what remains of the rose. You see, the rose was tied into the curse, and admittedly, all we have here are some dried petals. Oops. But no, there's no more fresh roses here. I guess I should get to my point. You seem very perplexed and a little afraid. I'm just going to take a few more measurements while I talk, if you don't mind. Interesting. Okay, very good. Well, okay, let me finish my story. No, my fiance is not here in the castle tonight. He's probably out prowling the grounds. To be honest, I was able to partially break the curse, and that fearsome beast did turn into a handsome prince. And handsome princes are fine, I suppose. They're charming. They have manners. They're good to send on diplomatic errands to speak with other kingdoms, but personally, I'm not very concerned with other kingdoms. I only care about this beautiful library and this wonderful castle. So I felt it was more important to have a fearsome beast to protect the grounds rather than some pretty prince who, can talk at some sort of, meeting of kings and princes. It's just a little silly for me. So I might have reversed the spell. Here's the thing. Like I said, I think that Enchantress was a bit misunderstood. I love to read, like I said, and she happened to leave her book of spells behind. And once I got to reading, I just couldn't get it out of my head. I mean, she had a good point. People need to learn lessons, and honestly, the prince was just kind of like so sensitive, and some emotion is nice, but he would just go on and sing these songs about never feeling this way before and wanting to do these endless dances in the ballroom. And I mean, it was sweet at first, but I just want to be left alone to read my books. I mean, is that so much for a girl to ask? So I might have reversed the spell, hence all the rose petals. But I think he's happy. He's much happier as a beast. And I mean, he keeps the wolves away. Our castle's protected. And It's just a safe and happy place here. The servants are still here, like I said. Have you met Lumiere? Oh, do I often name my objects? Well, you shouldn't call poor Lumiere an object. No, he's a very, very wonderful, you know, servant of sorts. Well, all I have to do is light his wick, and he keeps things bright and sheds light, helps me read my books. He's much better as a candlestick. Much, much better. And if you are still feeling cold, like I said, Mrs. Potts would be so happy to make you some tea. Say hello to Mrs. Potts. No, she doesn't want to talk right now. These things are really finicky. I mean, I'm not a classically trained enchantress, so I'm not quite sure I got the spell right. I mean, the spell the original enchantress did, they actually could talk. I mean, I think I can understand her. She just doesn't, she's not as loquacious as she was before. But she makes a darn good cup of tea. And I could happily make you one. No? What's wrong, darling? You're feeling a little bit afraid? I told you there's nothing to fear. Now that you're inside the castle, safe and warm, no harm will come to you. And do you really want to return to that boring old village you came from? Oh, I'm sure you have a sweetheart back there and a family and some loved ones, but this place is incredible. And now that I've taken all of your measurements, no, not to make you a cloak, although that would be very nice. Like I said, you won't need a cloak. Not anymore. Now that I know your exact measurements, I can put together the final steps and make you so much better than you are. Well, aren't you tired of being cold and hungry and having to work all the time? Well, you might have to work a little bit. I have a very good job for you. Are you a fan of wine, sweetheart? You are? Oh, no, I'm not going to exactly offer you some, but I'd be happy for you to hold all the wine you could carry. Yes, I think we could do something very special with you. I would just love, love, love to add you to the collection. Well, don't you want to stay here forever and ever? Oh, no getting up. Let's see if I can remember how it goes. The place an object is, and then goes in crystal into the wine stuff. Roses and sand, east and west, north and south, sand and I think I got it. Okay. Just close your eyes, and when you open them, you are going to be feeling so much shinier, beautiful, and useful than you ever were before. Close your eyes. Go ahead. Well, sweetheart, look at you. Oh, there's no point in trying to cry or scream. Can't really hear you through all that beautiful crystal. Isn't this much better? Now you can stay with me here. Carry all the wine you can, and I'll refill you again and again and again. And you can stay here with me, reading books, free from harm. Oh yes, You are the perfect addition to my collection.